This podcast is a work of historical interpretation. While we strive for accuracy, some aspects of history are open to interpretation and debate. Thank you for listening. Welcome back. This is episode number 4, I think. Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
A New Hope.
No. This is Time Tellers. It's a podcast that delves into the captivating stories and historical events that have shaped the United States. This is episode 4, called Battles and Bays. The epic tale of Misery Bay and Presque. I don't usually give the titles.
No, this is the first time you ever have.
I mean, it's only episode 4.
Yeah, well.
Oh, wow.
Episode 4 that people know of. We actually have about 100 ready.
That is not true. That'd be nice, though. Especially with school starting in a week and a half.
Yeah, well.
I'm Renee, and this is Dan.
Thank you for pointing at me like they can see you.
Oh, yes, I did totally just do that. We're diving into the intriguing history of Misery Bay and Presque during the War of 1812. 2 locations that played crucial roles on Lake Erie's naval battles and strategies. This episode is a continuation of our last episode, Thunder on the Seas. That was the title for number 3. But focuses specifically on our local area. So it's our first 2-parter.
Yes, it is.
Sort of. Or continuation.
At my suggestion.
Yes.
I'm useful sometimes.
I thought I wrote that somewhere, but maybe I didn't. Yes, this was Dan's suggestion. Let's start with some background on Presque, for those who don't live locally or don't care. Before the war, the peninsula was mostly wilderness, with occasional use by fur traders, explorers, and of course Native American tribes. The Erie people were one of the early groups to inhabit the area, and they were later followed by other tribes, such as the Iroquois Confederacy, which exerted influence over the region after defeating the Erie in the mid-17th century. French explorers and traders, including Pierre Lemon d'Iberville, had explored and claimed the area for France in the 17th century, naming it Presque, which is French for almost an island. It's like, oh, you were so close.
And it still would be an island if people wouldn't have interfered.
Very true. And I think it would be, New York State by now? If not completely gone? Something? If we didn't keep resanding it?
No, I don't think it would have made it that far.
I don't know. But it definitely wouldn't be in Mill Creek. However, it wasn't until the American Revolution and the establishment of the Northwest Territory that the area began to see more substantial European American settlement. This sandy peninsula extends into Lake Erie, creating an essential natural harbor during the War of 1812. The protected waters of Presque Bay allowed the United States to build and shelter its fleet, crucial for launching operations against the British and controlling vital supply routes on the lake. The story begins with Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, whom we discussed in our last episode. In March 1813, Perry arrived in Erie, Pennsylvania with a mission to build a fleet capable of challenging British naval dominance on Lake Erie. With the help of skilled shipwrights and carpenters, he oversaw the rapid construction of 9 vessels, including the brigs Lawrence and Niagara. This preparation period lasted several months, culminating in the fleet's readiness by August 1813. I think he was here for about 6 months, is what I read.
Oh, that's
for this, yeah.
Hey, didn't you just tell us this last week?
Yes, I'm reiterating. By August 1813, Perry's fleet was ready to sail. He moved his ships to Presque Bay, using the peninsula as a protective barrier while final preparations were made. The bay's shallow entrance prevented larger British ships from entering and attacking the fleet during this critical period, because it was too shallow. On September 10th, 1813, Perry's fleet engaged the British in the famous Battle of Lake Erie. The battle was intense, with the Perry flagship, the Lawrence, sustaining heavy damage. Undeterred, Perry, of course, transferred his command to the Niagara and continued to fight. This is what we talked about in the last episode, more specifically. This was a turning point for the War of 1812, and it assured American control of the lake. And this is where, of course, he said, "We have met the enemy, and they are ours." After the battle, the American fleet returned to Presque for repairs and to winter over. In the early 19th century, armies and navies often paused combat during winter due to harsh weather, logistical challenges, and strategic considerations. They just stopped fighting. I mean, I think that even happened partially even up to like World War I. They didn't completely stop, but and it definitely hindered Hitler in World War II when he invaded Russia. But
I thought that was just invading Russia. It kind of just hindered that in general.
oh yes, but I meant like
In winter.
Russian winters. Yeah, Russian winters. Severe cold, snow, and ice hindered movement and posed health risk like frostbite and hypothermia. Maintaining supply lines took a lot of work as snow and ice blocked roads and waterways, and providing adequate winter clothing and shelter was challenging. The cold also exacerbated the spread of diseases, impacting truth health and morale. Technological limitations in transportation and communication further complicated winter operations. Additionally, many soldiers came from agricultural backgrounds, where winter was a period of reduced activities. Therefore, winter provided a necessary respite to regroup, train, and prepare for spring offensives. The winter of 1813-1814 proved to be extremely harsh. Reports of heavy snowstorms further complicated travel and logistics. Deep snow made it difficult to move troops and supplies, effectively isolating many military units. The soldiers and sailors stationed at Misery Bay on Presque relied on various shelters, most of which were inadequate for the severe conditions. They constructed makeshift huts and log cabins from available materials, used canvas tents, and some stayed in the cramped quarters of their ships. These shelters offered limited protections against the extreme cold and heavy snowfall. Inside conditions were often crowded, poorly ventilated, and insufficiently heated, leading to significant discomfort and a high incidence of illness such as pneumonia, dysentery, and smallpox.
What about on that trail?
Right? That you died of dysentery every single time. That or drowned. Okay, Misery Bay, located on the northern shores of Presque, earned its name for the suffering endured by American sailors during this time. Many men fell ill during the severe conditions, and some even died. The shores of Misery Bay became their final resting place, serving as a poignant reminder of their hardships. The exact number of soldiers and sailors who died due to the harsh conditions and illnesses at Misery Bay during that winter is not precisely documented. However, its historical accounts indicate the number was significant. So, Graveyard Pond, which is what we call the area that these soldiers were disposed of, is near the site of Misery Bay. It is a pond, because that's, Graveyard Pond, and is surrounded by the diverse landscape of wetlands, lagoons, and forest that Presque has. When the first 8 men died, their bodies were ordered to be wrapped into canvas, rocks put in the bodies, and then dropped into the deep pond. That pond today is known as Graveyard Pond. It did not take long before rumors started in town that some very sick men were buried before their death the very same way. This has never been an accurate story, although the legends still persist. So the winter was really rough, but Perry, who thought ahead, fortunately planned for all his men to be given a reasonably large supply of whiskey and to be allowed occasional visits to town. I wonder what they did in town. There was a curfew for them at 9 each night, but they didn't always follow that rule because they were drunk and lost track of time.
Well, I mean, it's not like clocks were very prevalent in
That's true, too.
1914.
That is true.
Or they forgot to wind their pocket watch.
During this time, most sailors and officers came to believe their duty aboard the ship was serving no purpose. The winter's commitment aboard the vessels was horrible and conditions even worse. The ongoing worry of British invasion was still over their heads. One factor in their favor is that they knew the British never fought at nighttime. Really?
Yeah, that's why there was, in the Revolutionary War, that's why there was all those little ambushes that kept working against the British.
True. Once the winter began to fade, the American commanders became more and more convinced they now had firm control of Lake Erie. They felt they did not need to worry about future problems with the British at Presque. When, in the late spring of 1814, the Americans were preparing for a major attack across the Niagara River, they arranged for the transfer of most land soldiers and sailors from Erie to Buffalo, but not before they could accomplish one last mission. So the winter at Misery Bay is kind of reminiscent of, historically, of Valley Forge, in my opinion. They were both marked by severe hardship for the American troops. They are characterized by extreme cold, inadequate shelter, rampant disease, and high mortality rates. The history of Misery Bay and Presque is a testament to the unwavering bravery and perseverance of the American sailors. Despite the severe hardship, their efforts secured a critical victory and played a significant role in the outcome of the War of 1812. Presque State Park, designated a state in 1921, offers visitors the opportunity to explore the area's rich history today. We just went last week, and we rode to Perry Monument.
Yes, you did. And you decided to destroy a water bottle while you're at it, too.
By accident, yes. I totally destroyed my water bottle.
And then you tried to blame other people?
No, I did not. We ran over it. We were in one of those Surrey bikes, and it fell, and we ran over it.
Yeah, well, how many steering wheels are there again?
Only the one that was working. That would be my dad.
Oh,
so it's his fault.
So it's just, so you had the fake steering wheel?
Yes, I had the fake steering wheel.
Oh, so it's kind of like you just being given the unplugged-in controller or the unplugged-in microphone?
Yes. On average, the park welcomes about 4 million visitors each year. The Perry Monument commemorates Commodore Perry's victory and is a tribute to the bravery and perseverance of those who served. Visitors can learn about the history of Misery Bay and Graveyard Pond and the brutal winter of 1813-1814 through interpretive signs. I don't think that's supposed to be interactive. Interpretive signs? Is that a thing?
I mean, I guess.
That's weird.
They don't really have anything interactive out there.
No, they don't. Visitors can learn about the history of Misery Bay, Graveyard Pond, and the brutal winter of 1813 through signs and exhibits within the park. With its somber name, Misery Bay serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made during that challenging winter. Okay. Additionally, Misery Bay was where...
Sorry. I'll just whisper from now on.
Well, you haven't made many comments except... Well, no, that's not true. You did show me stuff, but...
You want me to make some comments?
Are they nice comments?
No.
Additionally, Misery Bay was where the hulls of two ships, the USS Lawrence and the USS Niagara, were sunk for preservation. And this confused me because I was like, why are they sinking ships? Like, this is something I did not know they did. But apparently, sinking ships to preserve their hulls was employed primarily to protect the vessels from decay and damage while not in active use. When wooden ships are left exposed to the elements, particularly air and sunlight, the wood can dry out, crack, and become that's one of those words again. Become susceptible. I'm not saying that right.
Susceptible.
There you go. To rot and infestation by organisms like shipworms. Submerging the ships kept their mother of pearl.
I'm going to push a button.
Don't do it.
Or else you'll what?
Cry. Okay. Submerging the ships kept their hulls in a more stable environment, which slowed the degradation. Mother of pearl. We're going to change the name to this podcast. It's going to be called Mother of Pearl. Submerging the ships kept their hulls in a more stable environment, which slowed the degradation process. The cold, freshwater environment of places like Misery Bay provided a natural preservative effect, as the lack of oxygen and constant temperature helped to deter decay and biological damage. This method ensured that the ships could be restored and used for future purposes, such as demonstrated by the eventual raising and restoration of the USS Niagara. And, being freshwater, we don't normally have things like alligators. Well, that and we're up north. But what do we have right now? We have an alligator.
Yeah, it was somebody's pet that got loose.
Yes, I realized that. Animal Services was out there trying to get it, and they didn't get it.
You still didn't?
Well, at least the last post I saw. It's like 4 or 5 feet,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It outgrew the bathtub.
That's, yeah. Oh, not,
Some people shouldn't have pets.
that is true.
And if they do-
Especially exotic ones. Not that an alligator's exotic,
What's wrong
but
with bunnies?
I said exotic.
Yeah, I have to go to special exotic vets for the bunnies.
I didn't even know we had one of those. The Lawrence was later raised and displayed at the U.S. Centennial International Exhibition in 1876, but was destroyed by fire shortly after. In 1913, the Niagara was raised and partially restored as part of the centennial commemoration of the battle. This early restoration aimed to maintain the ship's historical integrity, but a comprehensive restoration was not undertaken until 1988. I was 4. I don't know why I said that. This effort involved extensive research and craftsmanship to reconstruct the Niagara to her original specifications. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say about the Niagara, except that it does sit outside our public library right now.
Yeah, it does. Going back to episode 1.
Yes. And it is working normally. There's some issues right now. But the boat itself functions. The ship. It's called a ship. And was it last year I went on it? No. We went on the pirate ship last year. We are taking the Lady Kate out next Tuesday. We're going to go on the Lady Kate because my aunt and uncle are coming to town, and that's what we're going to do with them on Tuesday. So when episode 3 drops, if I do that correctly in my head.
Yeah, you did.
Woohoo!
You did something correctly.
That is all for today's episode of Time Tellers.
Aw.
Hopefully, Dan does a really good job of editing this, so I sound halfway decent. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the history of Misery Bay and Presque during the War of 1812 with us. If you enjoyed this episode and my rambling, please follow us on wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review if you so feel inclined. It would make my day. And go ahead, share us. Let everybody know that Renee and Dan are awesome. Okay, Dan is, but I try. We also have an Instagram, we have TikTok, we have Facebook, all with the Time Tellers name and the website Time Tellers History. That is just bare bones right now. And we have a Gmail set up.
What else do you want on the website?
Nothing right now. I just don't want people to go there and think we're going to have like this.
Podcast is there.
That's good. Good to know.
Little contact things there.
Yeah. And if you don't want to do it that way, we have an email, timetellerspodcast@gmail.com.
So original.
I wanted to keep it simple.
You simple.
And we're done.
No, we're not.
Why?
Did you mention Instagram?
Yes.
Did you mention TikTok?
Yes.
Did you mention Facebook?
Yes.
Did you mention Pinterest?
I don't have one of those.
LinkedIn?
No, don't have one of those.
But you should. It's good for podcasts, apparently.
Oh, okay. Maybe I will create one. Although I don't know how to. Yes, but
what about
please
X?
Continue listening. X, I have just posted on my own, which has like 22 followers. Woohoo!
Well, but you should lock it in so nobody takes it.
I don't think anybody's going to take it, but okay. Okay. Yes, continue listening. We will have a new episode.
Pay the $5 for the blue check mark.
We'll have a new episode out every Tuesday. It'll be Time Tellers Tuesdays. I also have been putting up photos about the various subjects on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And hopefully I will have some behind the scenes footage soon. where you can hear me and see me make a complete idiot out of myself. It'll be great. Okay, have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Oh, you're done now?
Yes.